The nicest person in your life might be the one studying you the closest. Not to help you, not to love you, to learn exactly where you bend, where you break, and how much you'll tolerate before you finally see what was always underneath the smile. You call it kindness. Machiavelli would call it a strategy. And the people who never raise their voice, who never say no, who always agree, who always smile, those are not the safest people in the room. They are very often the most dangerous, because nobody is watching them. We are taught from childhood that nice equals good, that kindness is the opposite of cruelty, that the soft-spoken, agreeable, always smiling person could never be the one who hurts you. So we let our guard down. We hand them our secrets. We give them access to our weaknesses. And most of the time, that trust is safe. But not always, because niceness is not a character trait. It is a behavior, and behavior can be performed. Machiavelli understood something most people refuse to accept, that the appearance of virtue is often more useful than virtue itself. A ruler who is actually good but seems weak will be destroyed. A ruler who is actually ruthless but appears generous, loyal, and kind will be loved, trusted, and obeyed right up until the moment he decides not to be kind anymore. This was not a lesson about kings. This is a lesson about every person you have ever trusted too quickly because they were nice to you. Think about the people in your life who never argue, who always say, "It's fine," who never push back, never set boundaries, never show anger, never say what they actually want. We call them easy. We call them low maintenance. We call them good people. But ask yourself a harder question. What happens to the anger they never express? What happens to the resentment they never speak out loud? It does not disappear. It moves underground. It waits. And one day, it comes out. Not as a conversation, but as a betrayal you never saw coming. Because you were watching for someone loud, and the danger was quiet the entire time. This is the part nobody wants to admit. Real kindness has edges. Real kindness can say no. Real kindness can disagree with you, disappoint you, and still love you. But the kind of niceness that never disagrees, that never has needs, that always bends, that is not goodness. That is often fear wearing a friendly face, or worse, control wearing a friendly face. Because if someone can make you believe they would never hurt you, you stop protecting yourself around them. And that is exactly the position they need you in. Machiavelli wrote that men forget the death of their father faster than the loss of their inheritance. Brutal sentence. But underneath it is a truth about human nature that explains the nice person trapped perfectly. People are moved less by warmth and more by what they stand to gain or lose. So when someone is endlessly nice to you with no boundaries, no friction, no cost to themselves, the real question is not, why are they so kind? The real question is, what are they getting from this? Because if there is truly nothing in it for them, you have found something rare. But if there is something in it for them, you have found a relationship built on strategy, not affection. Here is where it gets darker, because this is not only about other people, this is about you too. How many times have you smiled at someone you secretly resented? How many times have you said no worries while your chest was tight with anger? How many times have you agreed to something you hated because saying no felt too dangerous, too uncomfortable, too risky to the relationship? If you have done this, you already understand the nice person trap from the inside, because you have used it yourself, not out of evil, but out of fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being disliked, fear of losing control over how people see you. This is the part Machiavelli would force you to confront. Niceness is often not about the other person at all. It is about self-protection disguised as generosity. The person who never says no is not necessarily kind. They may be terrified of rejection. The person who always agrees is not necessarily peaceful. They may be avoiding the discomfort of being truly known with real opinions, real boundaries, real risk of disapproval. We have built entire identities around being the nice one, and somewhere along the way we stopped asking whether that niceness was honesty or whether it was armor. So if niceness can be fear and niceness can be strategy. How do you tell the difference between someone who is good and someone who has simply learned that looking good gets them what they want? Machiavelli's answer is uncomfortable, but it works. Watch what happens when there is nothing to gain. Watch what happens when there is no audience. Watch what they do with power, with money, with someone who cannot fight back, with someone who has nothing left to offer them. Goodness that only appears when it benefits someone is not goodness. It is performance. And performance always slips when the cameras turn off. This is why betrayal from nice people hurts so much more than betrayal from people who were always difficult. When a harsh person hurts you, some part of you expected it. But when a gentle, agreeable, endlessly kind person turns on you, it does not just hurt, it rewrites your memory. You start replaying every smile, every kind word, every moment you felt safe, and you ask yourself the question that breaks people the most. Was any of it real? And here is the brutal truth Machiavelli would give you, without comfort, without a softness. Some of it was real, and some of it was never about you at all. It was about what you represented, what you offered, what role you played in their life. People are rarely 100% fake or 100% genuine. Most performances are layered over real feelings, which is exactly why they are so hard to detect and so devastating to discover. So what do you do with this knowledge? You do not become cold. You do not become suspicious of every kind word you receive. That is not wisdom. That is paranoia. And paranoia destroys connection just as effectively as betrayal does. The lesson is sharper than that and far more useful. Stop confusing comfort with character. Stop mistaking the absence of conflict for the presence of trust. A person's true nature is not revealed when everything is easy. It is revealed under pressure, under temptation, under the kind of moment where being honest costs them something. That is where character lives, not in the smile, in the sacrifice. Machiavelli never told people to be cruel. He told them to be aware, to see people clearly instead of how they present themselves, to understand that a snake does not always look like a snake. Sometimes it looks like the warmest person in the room, the one who remembers your birthday, the one who never seems to have a bad day, the one everyone says they could never imagine hurting anyone. Awareness is not cynicism. Awareness is protection. The people who get hurt the most in life are rarely the ones who trust too little. They are the ones who never learned to watch closely, because they were taught that watching closely was rude, suspicious, or unkind. And maybe that is the final truth hiding underneath all of this. The world does not punish you for being kind. The world punishes you for being kind without being aware, for mistaking agreeableness for safety, for believing that someone's tone of voice tells you who they really are. The strongest people are not the loud ones, and they are not the cold ones either. The strongest people are the ones who can be warm and still notice everything, who can love people and still see them clearly, who understand that real trust is not given to a smile, it is earned through consistency, through honesty, under pressure, through what someone does when there is absolutely nothing to gain. So the next time someone is endlessly nice to you, do not panic and do not become bitter. Just pay attention. Watch what they do when you disagree with them. Watch how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Watch what happens to their kindness the moment it costs them something. Because the dark truth about nice people is not that all of them are dangerous. It is that some of them are wearing kindness the way other people wear armor, and you will never know the difference by listening to their words. You will only know by watching their actions when nobody is around to be impressed. Stay kind, but never again be blind. Because the softest voice in the room is sometimes the one deciding your fate, and the only protection you will ever truly have is to see people as they are, not as they perform.